Penny Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds.
Well, Kristin.
Highlighted the episode for Kristin.
You leave my man alone.
Don't go through Sawyer's things. I don't know what to tell you.
He's just a private person. He doesn't want people's hands all over it.
He's
What
just
if he's a germaphobe?
He doesn't want people
he's an
touching the things
introvert.
that he stole from them.
From you right now.
Kristin's like, okay.
That's it? Okay, sign me up.
I definitely still think it's John Locke. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds for episode 8, Confidence Man of Lost. And Michael, Kristin, Kevin, and I are going to talk about what a very good episode. I know going in, I think I said just from the title that it was going to be a Sawyer-centered episode, and I was right. So I'm wondering how much more I'm going to be right on for this series, or how much more wrong I'm going to be.
Probably a lot from column A and a lot from column B.
Yeah.
That's lost for you, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you guys think of Confidence Man?
Man, this is a good one. This is a really good one. I feel like this is the one since Walkabout where it's another huge kind of great character reveal at the end, changes your perception of a character that we've had up to this point. I think it's just such a solid episode, and I'm very interested to see where this one's going to rank, because it's very good.
Yeah.
It's the one I'll often go back to.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, Kristin, Kevin, your thoughts?
We already know my thoughts. All right. It's a Sawyer episode. So, yes, please. Thank you, everything. The Lost Gods for that entire episode. Kevin?
I like that it's very dark. It's very serious. Not only in Sawyer's backstory, right, of him being the con man, but then what Sayid does to him, right? And him getting Kate to finally kiss him and to reveal he doesn't have it, and he never had it. He never had the medicine. So whatever. It's very dark. Which I like a high stakes dark story. So it's really good.
Mm-hmm. Kristin?
And then we have Sun. We have Sun the Savior, because Sun.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
She's so good with plants. We have the toothpaste with yellow. Now we've got eucalyptus coming in. She just knows her plant.
Yeah, there were a few saviors this episode, so I look forward to seeing who gets the most votes for favorite character. So at the end,
how many times can Kristin say Shannon's the worst character?
I think Kristin's going to put Sun as her worst character because she saved her life.
Exactly right. It's you're foreshadowing. No, just kidding. That's not it. I could never have Sun as my least favorite character.
Yeah.
I love Sun.
Well, Michael, kick us off with our fun facts here.
I've only got a couple. 18.4 million. I'm slowly trying to phase this out.
And I keep coming to you every time.
80.4 million. One interesting thing that I do have is the song at the end of the episode is "I Shall Not Walk Alone," written by Ben Harper, and it's performed by the American gospel group the Blind Boys of Alabama. And this isn't too spoilery; it's just a character name. But one lyric from that song is "I just reached for Mother Mary," and Sawyer's mother is called Mary. So with everything that we learn about Sawyer in this episode, I think that's a really nice lyric, and we get that as Sawyer's reading that letter again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, just jumping into the episode, it starts off in the best possible way it could ever start off. I mean, minus once you get past Kate walking down the beach, you have the best character of all time, naked in the ocean. Thank you again, Lost Gods. But we we get to where he's walking up, and they have of course their banter. And she's just not having it. Their banter. And as she walks off, we get to our first opening flashback here of Sawyer in bed with a woman, and kind of getting where Jake said you realize that this is a Sawyer-based episode. Of course, I mean, there's a lot going into it. This woman's like, "Sawyer, you rocked my world." I mean, I guarantee he probably did. But are you guys sure you want me to do the synopsis on this one? Because it's gonna be the entire thing.
Yeah, I'd just say brace for impact if you're watching this. It's going to be very heavily.
It's going to be a lot of
praising Sawyer.
Kristin thirsting over Sawyer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm not mad at it. I don't disagree. I'm just.
I mean, I love me some Sawyer. I can't help it. Anyway, it brings him to this woman that they're talking. He's late for a meeting. A briefcase of money opens up. What could this be? He's like, "Damn, you weren't supposed to see that." Cut back onto the island where he's walking through the jungle, and he hears some things, and he starts taking off running and sees Boone going through his stuff. Obviously, later on, we see Shannon carry... It's one contribution Shannon did. She carried Boone to the doctor. So there you go, Michael. Shannon did something this episode. She carried Boone to help.
She did something helpful. She did something useful.
She did something useful.
Dying.
I'm sorry. Again, you guys sure you want me to do the synopsis? Anyway, so Shannon does carry Boone to Jack. Jack does tell, or, asks him what happened. He said Sawyer. He then explains that the reason why he was going through that is he saw that Sawyer was reading his book, Watership Down. That was in his luggage. His luggage had Shannon's extra inhalers, because come to find out that Shannon is no longer completely useless. She's also now a liability, and she has asthma. And so all the extra inhalers are in Boone's luggage. So walk us through everybody's first initial openings of this episode, where we're getting kind of some backstory on Sawyer. We're finding out some more about Shannon and Boone, and Jack and all that. So Jake, walk us through where you were at in this opening.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I wasn't shocked that, the first backstory we get of Sawyer is that he's having intimacy with a woman. That's not shocking at all. And then for him to have a briefcase of money fall out, that was pretty good. I thought the woman also looked a little bit like Rachel McAdams, so I was like, it wasn't Rachel McAdams, but it looked like Rachel McAdams. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was definitely curious immediately from that first flashback scene to see more of who Sawyer was before this. And then, of course, Boone gets caught going through things that might belong to Sawyer, and Boone, the second time he gets carried to Jack, basically, or I mean, Jack carried him before, and now he's getting carried to Jack. Jack's helping him yet again.
Yeah, Boone's stock is decreasing.
Yeah. Boone and Shannon, as much as I hate to add on, just pile on to the hate Shannon train, they don't add a whole lot to this episode. Just a liability.
Do they add much to the show so far? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, Shannon clearly doesn't, and Boone, at least he tries, but he's not succeeding.
She does look like
Michael's
Rachel McAdams.
got to save Shannon here, so let Michael give a little Shannon shout out because we're three Shannon haters right now.
I think I'll save my Shannon defense until the scene later on where she's really struggling.
Okay.
But I did also really like that beginning scene with Kate and Sawyer on the beach, and we see the confident Sawyer, confidence man, in this episode at the beginning. I like, kind of like with Jin, we talked about in the previous episode, where we see this disintegration of his character from this happy guy to this cold guy. And then this is kind of that as well, where we see Sawyer super confident and we start to see more vulnerability in him by the end of the episodes. I just really like how these character-centric episodes really give you so much depth to whichever character they're focusing on in like 44 minutes. They do such a good job. I think it's such a good way to tell your story that really makes you care about all of these characters.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, and we've said that I think probably every of our episodes, that it's just Lost does such a great job of the attention to detail and literally everything, and really kind of making you start to care about these characters that we have no idea who they are, because we're getting little bits of them on the beach, and then we're getting like this whole backstory of each individual person every episode, which is fantastic.
It's going like that forever.
So moving on, we obviously see Jake. See, it's gonna happen at least. It's gonna happen once. We see Jack then come down, storm off to the beach in Jack's way. And he's running through all the stuff. We see Sawyer, of course, reading the letter yet again. And he's like, "Where is it? I want the inhalers." And he's, Sawyer being Sawyer. Of course, then Kate comes in, saves this. Listen, this is probably one of my favorite lines that Sawyer ever does, especially in this episode. Is Jack's like, "Stand up," like obviously, clearly trying to fight him, and he's like, "Why? You want to see who's taller?" I just love this man. These one-liners, they hit left and right, and it's great. Of course, he stands up. Kate comes in to save the day. And so she's like, "Let me talk to him." He says, "We have a connection." He's like, "Do you?" Jack's a little jealous here.
Excuse me?
Yeah, he's like, "Excuse me, what happened when I moved to the caves here? Is this what's happening on the beach?" So she's like, "Please, like, no." So she goes obviously to talk to, she walks up on Sawyer, he's chopping wood. Nothing this man does is not sexy. So, I mean, chop some wood on the beach, get it going, Sawyer. Obviously, she is like, "Come on, where's the inhalers?" He's like, "A kiss will do it." I would have been like, "Okay, done. Where's the inhalers?" No question asked.
This was so easily solved.
There would have been no episode of
I
Christmas
don't
on
even
the
think
Island.
he would have had to ask for it. I'd be like, "Would a kiss work?" "Yeah, okay, cool." So she, of course,
Roll credit.
roll credits, end of the episode. So she, she's like, "You're not that disgusting. I've seen you with that letter, blah, blah, blah." So he comes up, he's like, "Oh, you know me? Here, read this letter." So we get this reveal of her saying, "Dear Mr. Sawyer, you had sex with my mother. You stole my dad's money all away. He got mad. He killed her, then killed himself. I'm going to find you and give you this letter." And so now she's like, kind of going, "Oh my gosh, Sawyer's a little bit more complex than he let on." She really meant that he was a complex man. So you kind of get into the story of Sawyer being, like Jake, you said it when we were watching, "Oh, I guess they're both like that fugitive criminal wanted, kind of persona." So maybe they do actually have a connection, right? So then, of course, we go back to the caves. Sayid is upset. Of course, there's Locke there, Kevin's favorite. And Sayid talks about how he's hit from behind, and Locke's bringing up, anybody can diffuse, like slow time a diffuser, use a cigarette. So now he's planting these seeds that it could be Sawyer. Honestly, I was confused by this when I first watched this episode, so I kind of want to get Jake's like idea on this. I know he said it when we were watching, but to time it that perfectly, like a cigarette could go off at any time and catch that fuse. So Jake, what were your thoughts as Locke is telling Sayid the story? Because I know when I first watched it, I'm like, sure, you can put the cigarette at the end of it, but like you'd have to time it perfectly to go up. So
He's MacGyver Sawyer.
like, how do you? So, Jake, what were your thoughts? I know you said it during the watch through, but
Yeah, it's manipulation. I don't know, like I've just seen enough of like movies and stuff. Like it just reminds me of Emperor Palpatine. Like it's just literally Locke is literally like that, and that he's just manipulating everything. In my opinion, I could be very, very wrong, and it could actually be Sawyer somehow, and we'd figure out how, but I just don't see it that way. I see it completely as Locke's doing because he has so much incentive for himself for all of them to stay on the island now. Like I just don't see what incentive I guess Sawyer has to stay on the island compared to Locke. So
Yeah, and I mean, we have also seen like evidence of manipulation on Locke's part with Charlie, like we discussed in the previous episode. Whether or not we fell on different sides of whether that was something that was acceptable, but he definitely has that characteristic about him. So yeah.
Kevin, anything to add? Did you want to do
I mean, listen, I just like when people join the fuck Locke train. I like toot all aboard because fuck Locke. It's more frustrating for me that like how do you really explain how someone can time a cigarette to set off a firework? Like whether or not it's Locke or someone else to throw the blame onto Sawyer and then for Sayid to buy it. I'm like, Sayid, you're smarter than this. So that's frustrating. But it's Locke's fault because Locke sucks.
And I mean, we see as well that although maybe Sayid's not 100% buying it, it's in his head, and it's ultimately that suspicion that ends up, it all escalates to the point where Sawyer almost dies because Sayid's so like pent up and angry about what happened to him with the transceiver. So yeah, this was like a snowball effect from that conversation on.
yeah, well, and like it's just so expertly manipulated because Sayid is not gonna find out who, knocked him out, because he's just carried back to camp and has no idea. He just said everything went dark all of a sudden. So of course he's already gotten into these fights with Sawyer. Like Locke even brings it up, like, oh yeah, you and Sawyer haven't had a great relationship, right? So I don't know. It just feels extreme manipulation.
Listen, this club is happy to have you as a member, Jake. Fuck Locke.
I mean, listen, I think Emperor Palpatine is such a fun villain. So if we have John Locke as a fun villain, like I will still say F John Locke. But like I think,
this is not hate on his existence in the show.
Yeah,
like great character in the show. But like if I'm stuck on the island.
Oh yeah.
Oh my fucking god! I'm gonna lose my shit on him daily. Shut the fuck up. Right. Take him off somewhere else, bro.
Yeah, one of the most fascinating characters on the show, and well written characters and well performed characters. Like Terry O'Quinn's so good.
Yeah, we brought that up several times. Terry O'Quinn just really hones in on this character of Locke. Yeah,
great actor, great character, great writing. It's not hate on the show or the artist behind him. It's literally just. If I'm on that island and I'm stuck listening to his bullshit constantly, I'm losing my goddamn mind. So shut up, Locke.
we should keep like a tally throughout the show of shut up, Locke.
How many times Kevin says it? It's gonna be great.
It's gonna keep happening. It's
literally like Pirate Sarah. It's gonna get brought up.
Imagine me stuck on an island with the two of them. Shoot me in the face. God damn it.
Locke's the new Sarah. All right, so let's get this train back on the tracks here. So obviously in our flashbacks we're seeing Sawyer, we're seeing a little bit more. The girl that he has been sleeping with, her name is Jessica. She's like, well, I'll loan you the money because there's supposedly this big huge oil thing where it triples your money. He's like, where are you gonna get this money? She's like, my husband. Not trouble in paradise. Why are you raising your hand?
I found out a fun fact about her.
Okay, all right, go.
So the actress that plays her is married to Kevin from the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, that is her.
Yes.
That's so funny. That is her.
I looked her up after Jake said she looked like Rachel McAdams. I looked her up to be like, wait, did she? And she does. But also, she's married to Kevin from the Backstreet Boys.
I'm glad Kristin knew who you were talking about, and then me and Jake were just like, oh.
That's just that's funny. It is her. And also Backstreet Boys. Come on, Michael and Jake, let's go. Like, we got to get it together here. But yeah, so obviously she's bringing up that They're going, she's gonna ask her husband for this money. Of course, we see Sawyer come into the caves to get some water. The tension between him and Jack is building. Jack, of course, starts punching on him, and Sawyer again is just antagonizing. That all you got? To which then Jack realizes that everybody's staring at Jack, and he's not so much the doctor anymore. They're kind of fearful of him. So then he stops, and then of course Shannon starts having more breathing problems that day. And that is when Jack is like, I'm over this. I'm done. I'm taking off. Sayid follows him and is like, what's going to happen? They, of course, give each other the look. And he's like, hey, remember? I was in the Republican Guard. Let me help this situation out. And Jack's like, okay. And said we weren't savages, but here we are. And so they, of course, go to Sawyer. Like, he was napping. You couldn't just like carry him off then. You guys would have overpowered him. But no, they wake him up.
Well, maybe if you cooperated sooner.
Just saying, they bash him up just
Poor
to bash
Sawyer. Oh, poor baby.
You
There's
leave my
nothing
man
wrong.
alone, okay? That hurt his sweet little head, okay?
That hurt. Oh, he's a baby.
Obviously they drag him off into the jungle. Kate, of course, trying to be the voice of reason. If you do this, blah, blah, blah. It's over. Jack and Sayid are tunnel vision. We are getting these inhalers for Shannon. So Sayid, like Jake mentioned, he's like now getting kind of another tunnel vision because of what's going through with what Locke had said. And so then we get kind of to see this moment. This is actually a very hard moment to, I mean, as watching on the show, like they don't actually show it, but you can feel it. Like he's talking about sticking those reeds up in his fingernails. Like you can just, like you can't see it, which they didn't show on the show, but like the pain that he's in, like you get a little splinter or something. Last night I hit my door wrong and I caught that finger, like it hurts. So I can't imagine.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
Right. We got two finger problems over here right now. So, and then, so of course, they continue to go. Jack finally is like, okay, Sayid, all right, this is enough. It's enough. And so then Said's like, oh no, I'm not done yet. How about you lose an eye? And Sawyer's like, fine. I'll tell you, but I'm only going to tell Kate because him and Kate have that connection. They of course go and get Kate. He's like, well, how about that kiss? Again, why he's having to ask several times for this, I'm still blowing my mind. But she does eventually kiss him. You guys mentioned in the watch, it's a very passionate kiss.
It is. It is a mouthy kiss. That is not a TV kiss where they just like mouths just like it's like opening and closing and like the tongue going back and forth.
Super close up as well.
Yeah, it's very close up. There's no imagination needed.
Right? No,
it's very explicit.
You know where my imagination goes? My face on Kate's. That's where the imagination goes. But other than that,
mine is the exact opposite way.
We can switch roles there, Michael. Anyway, so after this amazing kiss. And you can tell Kate's feeling some things. She's like, "Oh, I felt the Sawyer."
She's torn. She's torn.
She's now torn. He says, "I don't have them." She walks off and says he doesn't have them. To which Sayid's like, "He's lying." And Jack's like, "No." We see this tussle, and Sawyer is stabbed in the arm. We find out that he has nicked an artery. Jack is holding his artery closed with his fingers.
He like proper gets in there. It's so like. They did such a good job of making it look so real.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. Although Kevin did point out a very good point that he'd probably be dead within minutes.
No, in real life, that man died. It's fine. It's fine. They already survived a plane crash. It's fine.
Right.
He gets to live. It's fine. Magic of TV. In real life, he died.
He did not die. Sawyer could never die. But of course, then Jack is stuck with saving his life. He's telling Jack, roles were reversed. I'd sit here and watch you die. As he says, in pain, but with a smirk on his face. Like, Sawyer he's twisted. I love that man, but he's twisted. Obviously, we get back into those flashbacks where we're seeing him with basically the man that gave him the money to put up front. He realizes that he's like, hey, men have to touch the money. The women, you get them a little something in the sheets and they're good to go. The guys, they got to touch the money. And the guy's like, I'm not playing around. These are games. You're playing with money that I gave you, and I want my money back tomorrow. To which we see Sawyer with the husband and wife at their house discussing, he's got the money now. It's done deal. To which Sawyer's about to walk out, and a kid pops up. And so Jake, you mentioned this is obviously the family. Sawyer then drops the briefcase. He's like, we're not doing this. This deal is off. And he walks out of the house. To which we find Sawyer back up on the beach, waking up to Kate staring at him. I'm going to stop it there because there was a lot that happened there. So I want to kind of get everybody's opinions on that little block that we've got right now before we wrap it up. Jake, do you want to start?
Yeah, well, so I thought when it showed him with the slick back hair, I don't know, I might have just been also the profession of this person on the show, but reminded me of Brian Heidick from Survivor Thailand. Like just the sleazy con man. Like,
Oh,
I did not
I
expect that
swear the
comparison
same
in this episode.
yeah, he's Sawyer's Mr. Freeze. So
no.
but yeah, and then obviously, I mean, I assume that he stopped the deal because again, the mom's been sleeping with him and there's like a kid involved and whatnot. So obviously, like he doesn't want to break up this family in this way. And so yeah, that made sense and kind of showed again, kind of at least Sawyer has like that kind of moral ground where he's not going to break up this family with this deal and his intention was not to do that by sleeping with the mom. So yeah, that's where I took it. So or how I took it.
So on the whole, what Jack and Sayid ultimately decided to do, what Sawyer doesn't have the inhalers. He could have, made this a lot easier. But what do you think about that kind of turn to savagery and how brutal that scene gets? Like, are you on Sayid and Jack's side there, or do you think they went too far?
They probably went too far with the brutality of it, but again, everything got manipulated in the way it did, and Sawyer's obviously, he could have just not like jumped on Sayid there. Like he kind of hurt himself at that point by
You did this yourself.
yeah, just like, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty brutal, and like, unfortunately, Sayid thinks that he took it too far as well and causes him to leave. But
like I totally understand Jack. Like, I mean, he's a doctor and he's got this girl. The scene where Shannon, I'll take this as my chance to defend Shannon. Like the scene where Shannon is like really struggling to catch her breath. Maggie Grace's performance in that was so good. Like she looked like she was actually about to drop dead.
yeah,
And I also have asthma, and I've had that situation where like when you don't have your inhaler, like I don't have problems with my asthma at all, but when you don't have it, all of a sudden it's an issue. It is mostly psychosomatic. So that the way that Jack resolved that, and I think Jake, you said the line of the episode where Hurley says that was almost like a Jedi moment. So
yes,
I love
that was my favorite. Hurley had a couple great. So it was that moment, and then when he's talking with Charlie, and he's like, "Oh, so you just assume because I'm a fat guy that I'm gonna have food?" like,
yeah, Charlie was kind of mean.
Yeah.
Charlie is just, we're gonna get to that too, because that's like a moment. But yes, no, I mean, here I agree with you, Michael. Asthma is a very scary case and suffers from asthma as well. And it is a scary situation. So I understand what you're saying with the Jack situation of trying to like, we've got to like, why is he keeping these? Like, this is ridiculous. Of course they don't know
the frustration of like, who the hell is this guy? Why is he making our lives so difficult here? Like he has no reason to keep them.
Right.
And also,
that's an important thing. Yeah, that's an important thing to keep in mind. They're not all friends. They're all strangers. They've only known each other since they've been on their own. So, like, who is this guy? Why is he making our lives so miserable for no reason?
Right.
And also, like, people, I think it kind of gets overlooked where it's like, oh, well, he didn't have them. So it's not like he was actually keeping the medication from her, but he was keeping the doctor from her. He was keeping, the attention focused away from where it needed to be. If it wasn't for Sun, coming in to help, she could have very well died.
Right.
And Jack was desperately on this wild goose chase to find these inhalers that he never had. Like, it's just a dick move.
Right.
Yeah. That's where I was going to pick up too with Sun and Shannon and the rest of the episode. Is there anything else that we want to discuss at the moment of Jack and Sayid with Sawyer and then Kate and all that? Anything else that needs to be said, or are we moving on?
We're good.
Moving on. All right, cool. All right, obviously, so before we pick up to where I just left us off with Kate, or Sawyer waking up and seeing Kate, we do have to go back to the caves where we bring up that Shannon is getting worse. Boone's starting to now panic. Michael, you mentioned Jack's
Boone's panicking. Shocker.
Jack is his attention is elsewhere, but we do now see this new kind of forming friendship between Sun and Michael because he's the only one that knows that she can speak English, and so she goes up to him and says, "Hey, I think I can help her. Can you go find this plant?" He of course brings back eucalyptus, which is fantastic for asthma or any kind of constricting airway things. It's just like menthol, all those things can open up an airway. So very smart on her part. But we also see Jen, like, why are you hanging out with this man? What is happening? We are married. You are not supposed to be, like, you can't talk to him.
I am the only person who brings plants to my wife.
Right. Yes. So we kind of now start to see a little bit of this breakdown between Sun and we saw it a little bit when she's like, I'm not putting the sweater back on. I'm wearing this like spaghetti strap shirt. So we're starting to see a little bit of this breakdown between Jen and Sun a little bit. Not really a breakdown, but her more becoming like defiant. Like she's ready. Like she's like, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to.
I don't even want to say defiant because defiant implies that like she's supposed to follow what Jin says,
Yeah.
but like, independent. That she is like not.
Sure, that's a better word. Yes, you are correct. That is a better word.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously, Jack comes back from this moment, and Sun is putting the eucalyptus on it. Shannon is breathing much better. Jack's like, "Oh, there is somebody else out here that has a brain. I didn't think of that."
I love that Jack kind of like smart Jack, like
Right.
like he's annoyed at himself that he didn't think of
Right.
like a
It's
natural
also like
solution
one of
like
those
that.
moments that you can tell, like you were mentioning, Michael, that he's so scatterbrained and so focused in
Yeah.
on the inhalers that like, and a lot of people, especially a doctor, but a lot of people, especially like even Boone and Shannon, like again, these are things that probably there are things out there. Like they even say, even if you don't have asthma, if you've got like congestion in your lungs and stuff, go into a room and like put eucalyptus in the shower and turn it on to hot so the steam and you can breathe that in. A lot of people know these like kind of tricks that you have, if you will. So it just kind of proves the point that they're all so focused in. Boone and Shannon are panicking. Jack's focusing on this whole situation over here that none of them are actually thinking, what else can we give this girl if we cannot get these inhalers back? So good on Sun for taking kind of the reins there in the initiative. And so, of course, Shannon gets better. We now are going back to my other favorite part. That's the sidebar before we get to Sawyer and the kind of the reveal here. Charlie and Claire. All right. Charlie's like, girl, quit living here on the beach. Come to the caves with me. You're too pregnant to be out here. She's like, I want to be here for when we get rescued. And he's like, hello, doctor at the caves. You're going to need that. You're ready to pop. And so they start talking about their favorite things that they miss. She's talking about warm, fuzzy towels. He's talking about some pie. Michael, any insight to what he's actually talking about? He's talking about toffee and things like that.
Banoffee pie.
No,
Do you not know Banoffee pie?
I do not know. Could you give us some insight?
That's very British. Did you not
See,
feel?
I
did you
that's why
not
I'm like,
feel-
I'm gonna ask Michael. We need to know.
Did you feel the British
Delicious.
flag like falling out of your mouth as you said those words? Like what?
I literally thought that was just like an all around thing. Banoffee pie is so good. It's banana and toffee. It's kind of like cream, like banana toffee, like mixture, like a cheesecake kind of texture, but not really. And then like a biscuit base. It's so good.
I mean, it sounds good.
Yeah.
That does sound good.
But that was an extremely British word that you just used. So I don't know why you're so shocked to find out we don't know it.
Banoffee.
It's
And I
so
like that Charlie and Claire's like the Commonwealth relationship coming together. It's like we've got Australia, we've got England.
No, it's just, I mean, it sounds delicious when he describes it. I'm just like, you know who's going to know this? Michael. We're going to ask him at this moment. But of course, then he's like, you're pregnant. How are you not thinking about food? What are you craving? And she's like, peanut butter. I'm the only Australian that loves peanut butter. I have to have peanut butter. And he goes, okay, I'm getting you peanut butter. And then you're moving your butt to the caves. That's of course where we get Jake's loving the moment of Hurley and him in the jungle. He's like, dude, you haven't dropped it. He's like, I've dropped a notch in my belt. All right. Like this again, this friendship between the two, you get like these little glimmers of it. And it's just so cute. They're a little bit, because even he's like, I'm sorry, I took it too far. And Hurley is like, it's okay. And then he's like, but like, do you have any food? He's like, dude. And it's just like it's a really cute like between the two of them friendship. But then if
On
my
that, while we're on that scene, Kristen, as well, I think it's a scene that's really funny, but it's also like it comes at the cost of like kind of a toxic part of the fandom where like this show was so discussed and there was so many people about the realism of the show and everyone was just like, well, why isn't Hurley losing weight? I was like, he's an actor on a television show. And like people were being like,
and the
so
directors actually wanted him not to lose the weight. Number one, for the flashbacks, like they didn't want to have to like do makeup and prosthetics and stuff to like make, like they wanted him to maintain his same body, but also like as part of the plot of like that's who he is. Like
and it's like this is a TV show. We have stubble that doesn't grow. We don't expect an actor to start dramatically
a completely white tank top.
That white tank top is getting dirtier.
Or tunnels that just like grow and grow and grow as we continue. Yeah, like there's things. But no, I agree with you, Michael. It was kind of the moment that you guys chose that, and it's kind of, you know what I mean, almost like a body shaming moment in that, and that's back in 2004. And we're still kind of dealing with the same things throughout the years, and it's do better, people, do better.
Yeah. But I like that they were in their best possible way, like being supportive of him, of like, yes, we bring it up and we talk about it, and like he is who he is, and we love him and accept him for who he is. Like, very much that.
No, and Jorge Garcia, like his character, like. Fun fact about Jorge Garcia, listen, I was a massive Lost fan, but I'm also a Game Show Network junkie. And so after watching Lost and watching late night, like all the old game shows back then, Russian Roulette was actually one of their shows where it was a trivia game. If you got it wrong, you had to pull a lever and doors, like trap doors, like took you out. Yes. Jorge Garcia was on that show he was a newsstand operator trying to make ends meet. He needed money. And it's just so crazy to see not even a year after that. I think that one might have aired in like 2000, 2001. It's just not even a few years later. He's on this massive show like that, Michael said 18 point whatever million people are watching. So just a fun fact about him. And he's a great character. So, obviously the part that gets me, I cry every time. Here's one thing that you'll get from our spoiler section, Jake. I literally said this. I'm like, when I get to the peanut butter, I'm going to be bawling. Here it is. Full circle moment. I can't do it. He brings out an empty jar. And for people that are like, oh my God, that's not peanut butter. Like, why is this scene so... It's just, it shows the amount that he's like, it's kind of in that moment, like if anybody's ever seen Hook, where they're like, Hook, how are you not seeing this massive spread of food right here? Yeah. Just to kind of like boost the, you know what I mean? The morale of it. And so for him, he opens a jar and he's like, it's packed to the brim. Like he's going through every detail of what a peanut butter jar is. And he's like, do you want some? And just this moment of them, I'm going to tear up just thinking about it because it's so beautiful. Oh, yeah, I can't. Sorry. Somebody talking about the peanut butter.
No, I looked down and I was like, because you're right below me on my screen. I looked down and it was like I could see like the red like radiating out of your eyes. Like it was just getting, and then that's why I was like, is Kason also crying? And you were just like,
I guess I'm just not a romantic person. If someone came to me when I was starving and was like, I found you some peanut butter, and I'd be like, oh my God, amazing. And they give me an empty jar, I'd be like, get out of my tent and never come back.
Yeah, I think it's cute. I'm not crying over it. I think it's cute. But yeah, personally, if you bring me an empty jar and say that it doesn't even have a peanut butter label on it.
Yeah, come on, Charlie.
So... Yeah, I mean, if that were me, it would not work on me, but because it did work, it is cute.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jake, thank you. Would it work on you, Jake? Would you appreciate this moment, or are you kicking him out because he brought you an empty jar?
I mean, it's cute in terms of like character moments, but yeah, I agree with Kevin and Michael. I'd probably just be like, get out of my face or bring me actual peanut butter.
All right,
You're toying with a pregnant woman.
Spectators watching, put it in the comments. What are your thoughts? Do you love this moment? Are you feeling like very like this is so sweet, like Claire and myself, or are you with these three that are like you'd be kicked out immediately if you brought me an empty jar? So let us know in the comments down below. With that, all right, let's get to the big reveal so I can stop crying over an empty jar of peanut butter. But big reveal, obviously Sawyer wakes up, his arm is now fixed. And Kate's sitting there, and she's like, kept reading this letter. Sorry, I'm not buying this. I kept reading this letter over and over again because I don't understand why you wouldn't just tell people you don't have the inhalers. You went through all of this, and then I noticed the envelope. Come to find out, it's an envelope from their bicentennial year in Tennessee, in Knoxville, Tennessee. She realizes Sawyer would have been a kid when that was put in there. And she realizes that it's Sawyer who wrote this letter, not Sawyer getting this letter from somebody else. So, of course, Sawyer has a moment where he's like, yep, it happened. They're gone. But then he brings it back that he goes, but then I was 19 and I needed some money and I turned into Sawyer. And, of course, we see Kate kind of have this moment of pity where he calls her out. He's like, don't you pity me. Get out. Get out. Because I've done it to myself kind of situation. But I still... Here's the thing about this moment that I kind of want your guys' opinions on. I think that this is such a moment for Sawyer that you can tell that Sawyer is he's an asshole, all right? He is a complete and utter asshole. He is a con man. He's doing all the things. Mm-hmm. But he reads this letter several times a day. So he's connecting to that little boy because of how much that hurt him and how much that just destroyed his entire life. But he's also aware enough that he can't just be that little boy anymore. He's actually turned into the asshole that he was writing to. So I think that this is such a brilliant scene where he's like, you can't pity me because I know what I did. But yeah, I mean, it's also my story. What are your guys' thoughts of Sawyer in this like kind of revelation moment? Jake, I want to start with you because you're obviously the first time watcher. What are your thoughts on this moment here?
Yeah, that also is a reason for him to walk out and not close the deal earlier, as we mentioned, was the stuff that happened to him in the past and why he is Sawyer now. I'm interested. I mean, his real name doesn't really matter. So
yeah, you don't even know the guy's name.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He's now Sawyer.
Right. I mean, I think it's good that they don't even like reveal what his real name is right now. Maybe we'll find it out, but that's not something to be like where I'm like, I need to know his real name. I think I'm fine to leave it where it is at the moment. So
yeah,
he's called Timothy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy. He looks like such a Timothy.
Timothy.
I like from a writing perspective that they made him aware that he became that character, that it wasn't a thing where like we were watching, we were like, oh no, no, he's aware. And he's like, that's part of why he's so angry, right? Mm-hmm. Like he knows that he did that and he's still got to get through his day to day. So like he's angry about it. So I appreciate that from a not like subverting expectations, just like that they didn't like baby feed us, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I want to get back to kind of how they really end the episode, but Michael, I want to hear your thoughts on Sawyer, like of this little boy, but also this confidence man, if you will.
Yeah, I think it's kind of ironic, you know, the episode called Confidence Man, we see that he doesn't have the confidence that we thought he did have. And, you know, go back, like you said, Kristin, he keeps reading this letter. The first time you see Sawyer in episode 1, the pilot, Jake, you see him sat on the wing and he sat reading that letter. Okay, and there's also something that's really interesting about the letter in that he's got no closure on it. So when you find out that, when you think that it was a letter given to him, you think that kid that wrote that letter got some kind of closure by finally finding Sawyer and giving him that letter. But then you find out that Sawyer wrote this letter and he's never found this man. He's never been able to give that letter and confront this man about what he did to him. So it's completely unresolved and he's just not able to deal with it. And yeah, as soon as Kate kind of puts together, like he breaks and he does not want to like talk about this because he hasn't settled it in his own head yet.
Yeah, that's what because I had thought when we were watching the episode and the kid came out, oh, so this is the kid that gave him the letter because he did ruin their family a little bit, but no,
a lot bit.
Yeah, a lot bit.
but again, that's like it's a really good like bait and switch of that whole story that you're watching it, assuming that we're getting the story of how this how he ruined this family, and like ultimately it's the complete opposite where he walks away because he doesn't want to ruin a family. So good.
Exactly. And then I took it the way, he didn't want to ruin it. So
yeah.
So, I mean, going back to this letter, this is how we do really in the episode, is with him sitting on the beach, attempting to burn it. You see him with the lighter. He's holding this up. He's ready to burn it. Because, I mean, he just got tortured, okay? He's like, you know what? I'm throwing this little kid in the past because I literally just got tortured. I'm full-on Sawyer now. But
just to say, he said he was tortured by a spinal surgeon and a genuine Iraqi in the mystery jungle. Such a good line.
This is another good Sawyer. He has so many good lines. You can't even say them all. We'd be here all night. But I mean, you can tell that he is ready. I'm done. I'm done with this. I've now been tortured. I'm fully Sawyer. This is an island. That little boy doesn't exist anymore. And I'm burning this letter. I'm done. But again, it goes back to this little boy of that, like you said, Michael, this unresolved issue of he's never been able to find this man that ruined his family, that ruined his entire life. And so he can't burn it. And I think, again, that just hate the man if you want. He has a heart, y'all. He's like a little cute little fluffy baby that you just want to like hold and just say, it's okay. Let's make out.
I think he's the opposite of all of those words.
I mean, in my head, he is.
Listen. Does he have like a heart and issues that like make him be the way that he is? Yes, of course. But is the way that he is an asshole? Yes. So, like, I can feel bad for him, but also want to hold him accountable for his asshole actions.
Yeah. Any other like finishing touches to Confidence Man?
We do have the another little musical montage at the end, and we see we also have the Sayid scene with Sayid walking away.
Yeah, sorry, I was so focused on Sawyer and his adorableness. Yes, thank you, Michael. You take that part away because I was all wrapped up in my Sawyer feels.
Yes, Sayid on just before the torture as well. Sawyer says, "I don't think you've actually tortured anyone." It's such a cold line from Sayid, where it's like, "Unfortunately for us both, you're wrong."
Yes,
and like you do not want to be on Sayid's bad side. So, what do you think, Jacob, about his decision to leave?
Well, I think it kind of, I guess for his own like spiritual journey and like his mindset, I think it makes sense for him to leave. I'm interested where they're gonna take his character because there's no way he doesn't come back at some point. I even think like we could in the next couple episodes get Sayid's journey. Like I can see where they're gonna take and give him his own episode next. But yeah, I'm gonna be interested where he goes from here. I think eventually he's gonna find out that Locke. Hopefully that's the character that's the person that has messed with him. But I guess we'll have to see. But I enjoyed. It's a sad moment, but I enjoyed like they're gonna set this character down their own path. So.
Yeah. I also think as much as like as easily as I forgot that because I was so wrapped up in Sawyer, it does show that again that he like what you mentioned, Michael, that he said unfortunately for us both, and then he tells Kate, I vowed I would never become that person again. Like it's not something that he loves about himself, and you can see that is tearing him up inside where he's just like, I need to go. But he also brings up too, somebody's got to walk the beach. Somebody needs to scout and see what else there is. So like. He's also still thinking smart, like maybe there's something out here that we can help us get off this island. So,
right.
I mean, again, Sayid and his feels, but also still strategically thinking about a plan to get off the island.
Like, I remember being super excited about that because we haven't seen too much of this island yet. So, like, if there was one character you would trust to go and explore more of this dangerous island with God knows what on it, it's Sayid. If he feels like equipped to take care of anything, really.
Yeah. So with that was Confidence Man. Jake, you want to take over and get us through our favorite characters, least favorite characters, and ranking?
Yeah, let's go for it. All right, favorite character, I'm actually going to go with Jack this episode. I mean, Jack did a lot. He took care of people. He got to punch Sawyer in the face a couple times. I mean, I think there's a lot to his character in this episode of, taking care of people and also, being able to like take it out on someone that kind of unfortunately Kristin kind of deserves it. So I'm gonna
Like
go
a dagger in the heart every time you guys bring it up.
I'm gonna go with Jack for my favorite character. Do you guys want to do your favorite characters and then we'll all go, or at least favorite
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
so favorite characters for you guys.
I would say favorite character. I'm gonna go with. I mean, the obvious choice is Sawyer because this is a Sawyer episode, but I'm going to not pick Sawyer because I think he's an asshole. So I'm gonna go with Kate because Kate is the one who is like actually level-headed and like, let me ask a question, like let me have a conversation, whereas like a lot of the guys are like trying to like puff up their chest and like, oh no, I'm gonna take this from you, no, you're gonna give it to me, mer. She's like, do you have the shit or not, right? Like she's the reasonable one, so for that reason I'm gonna go with Kate.
I love that the fugitive is the reasonable one. It's like how bad do you have to be, guys, for Kate to be the reasonable one in this situation?
But
He's
also,
with the head on his shoulders.
but reasonable with a head on her shoulder, she turned down kissing him. What? That's not very reasonable.
Well, because she didn't want to. She didn't want to because she's her own person and she's allowed to make her own decisions, Kristin. But for the greater good, she did finally give in and do it.
Good.
The greater good.
And she loved it. And she loved every second of it.
Based on what we saw, she did seem to enjoy it. I'm not going to argue that point. But yeah, I think she's actually willing to do what she needs to do. And she's like reasonable and like willing to talk about things, which would have saved a lot of issues in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael, do you want to go next?
Yeah, we'll save Kristen's completely unpredictable favorite character till the end, I guess. I'm gonna go with Sayid. I've talked so highly about Sayid, so he's just such a good character and like a terrifying man. But also, I don't think I've mentioned as well, Jake, that Naveen Andrews, who plays Sayid, has like the thickest Cockney accent. He is like UK based, and so whenever I watch like behind the scenes stuff with Sayid, it's so weird watching like Sayid just talking this like British accent. It's so funny. But yeah, Sayid's fantastic in this episode, and I just think he goes down this horribly dark path, and he says, "What I did today, I never wanted to do again." And as much as it's a Sawyer episode, I think this was also a really good piece on Sayid and getting more on his character. So I'll give it to Sayid because Sawyer sucks.
Well, and I feel like all of us have done something in our lives, like unfortunately that we regret, done or said something, and that's kind of like part of us growing as people is learning from that and moving on, I guess. So
all right, Kristin, explain to us why Sawyer is the best character.
Okay, first of all, I'm throwing this out here. The amount of hatred towards my man, this is unacceptable. Okay, this was a Sawyer episode, and you all the hate, I do not accept. Listen, I'm gonna throw you all for a loop. So buckle up, Buttercup. No, I'm just kidding. So as much as Sawyer is very much my favorite character, especially in this episode, because we get so much depth from him. Because, like, we're not just seeing this asshole that we've seen. We've also seen he's suffered pain. So we do get a lot of depth with him. He is not going to be my favorite character of the episode. Trust me, there will be plenty more that I can do him for.
I'm sure.
Like every other one after this. My favorite character of the episode is Charlie. Because how much Claire in that moment, she's pregnant. People don't talk to her on the island. We've heard that from the past. She's like, everybody's afraid of me. Like, I'm a ticking time bomb. They've grown this beautiful friendship. He knows that, like, he wants her to be safe in the caves. He doesn't want her overheating, being pregnant. I mean, listen, as the only person on this show that has been pregnant, it's hard. It's I mean, the heat, like, all of it, the exhaustion. He's really thinking about her and her future and just the baby. And just, that's one of the sweetest moments that she really wants peanut butter. She really wants a taste of home, even though it's fake and you guys all made fun of it. It's just one of those moments that he was like, let me do something to brighten her spirits a little bit. And so that is why Charlie is getting my favorite character of the episode.
That is a defendable good choice. I support that.
Sawyer, don't worry, I'll come for you later. It's fine. All right, least favorite character.
This is
Don't do it, Jake. Don't do it.
Do it, Jake. Do it.
Do it. I feel like based on how much of an asshole he is, I have to pick Sawyer. So I think he was just an asshole. So I unfortunately have to pick him. I think he's a complex guy, so he still has some moments where you're like, okay, I kind of understand him. But right now, I have to pick him as my least favorite, and we'll see where it goes from here for him.
I'm shedding all the tears for what's about to happen in this episode. Y'all are killing me. Kevin.
I am torn between two. I'm not gonna go with Boone, even though I think a lot of the problems, like the things that go wrong in this episode, are Boone's fault. Like Boone just like talk instead of just trying to steal from Sawyer without any warning to anybody. Like go to the effing doctor because your sister has asthma. Like, why are you just stealing through the angry guy stuff? So like I want to pick Boone, but I'm gonna actually go with Jack because I feel like Jack goes against so much of like the things that are his character. Like he's supposed to be the smart medical person, and rather than find a solution to her asthma, he's trying to beat someone up. And like he's supposed to be the leader of the group, but he is like encouraging torture. Like a lot of things that are just like the opposite of what his character should be. Like not the character of it, but like what his like characteristics are supposed to be. So I'm gonna pick Jack for worst character. He betrays a lot of his.
Listen, do no harm. You did the exact opposite.
Exactly.
Of
That's
harm
true.
here.
That's true. He did help people this episode, but he did also harm people. So
Like not just harm, but like harm.
yeah, that's very, very true. Again, these are complex characters, so
Right.
Michael.
Yeah, I'm told like Sawyer was such a piece of shit in this episode. I'm sorry. Like he's again fantastic character. I love Sawyer. He's amazing, but like he could have so easily avoided all of this by just communication. But I think Kevin actually makes a really good point that Boone could have also made this a lot easier. And he just, again, I think it's this just inferiority where he's like, well, I can deal with Sawyer. So he's going to go and ransack his stuff. By the way, it's not Sawyer's stuff. You can't steal
Sawyer's
what's
stuff.
not yours.
It's not Sawyer's stuff, but like, that's how Sawyer's going to respond. That's what he's going to do. So like,
I mean, he does say 9/10. Okay, he has possession of it, y'all.
There are no laws on
I am
island.
actually.
That is an
So I am actually going to pick Boone because I also like he's so not helpful in like he's just freaking out in front of Shannon when she's like fighting for her life, which isn't helping Shannon in that situation.
How are you so concerned
with
with your sister's asthma and you don't know anything besides the inhaler to help her? Like, come on, bro.
yeah.
I do think he has a fun line though where he says, I guess breathing's not cool when he says Shannon like was embarrassed about her asthma and hides her inhaler. But yeah, Boone sucks. Shannon is so much better than Boone.
Okay. Okay. Listen, I have sat back and been very, very okay with you guys hating on Sawyer this episode. We are not going there that Shannon is better than Boo. We cannot.
Stand by it.
So, speaking of Shannon, like I said, not only is she a horrible person, she also contributes nothing. And now she's a liability. So while I want to make Shannon my least favorite character of the episode, okay, she's right there. Like, I mean, one more thing, and like she's locked in for the rest of the series. But my least favorite character is Sawyer, but not our Sawyer. It's the actual Sawyer.
Oh,
I was going to do that, and I thought didn't get away with it last time. People are going to be so mad.
Well, I'm only taking it because like you did it with Sun's dad. But
Yeah.
no, I mean what this man obviously has tortured Sawyer for years, to the fact that he again is reading this letter multiple times a day. Just to know that his whole world was turned upside down. Not only was it turned upside down, where he basically turned into an orphan overnight. We don't know what happened to him in between whenever that happened and when he turned 19 and turned into the con man. But that kind of again for that he was a kid. The only thing he knows is my parents died and the guy got money from it. So I need money. What do I do as I turn into this con man? So, the actual Sawyer that is Mr. Sawyer in the letter is my least favorite character for doing that to my poor Sawyer, my sweet innocent baby Sawyer.
Sweet innocent, yeah, sure.
All right, rankings.
Okay.
This will be
All right.
interesting.
I'll just jump to the chase. I think it's in the top 2. It's between this and Walkabout for me.
Wow.
And this is going to be really, really tough because I think these are just the 2 most interesting episodes. I think I'm going to have to give it to Walkabout. I think this should go second because this is still really good, but Walkabout was just an amazing character study, I guess, on Locke, and this one is still really good. So I don't really have anything negative to say about it. It's very, very interesting to see kind of how many characters are so complex in this episode, and then still some great one-liners from multiple characters. So yeah, I'm gonna give this second place for me.
Wow. Did not
Yeah,
see that coming.
I did. I mean,
Oh.
I think it's quite fitting when you look at these 2 episodes. They are the 2 episodes that have a fantastic character arc that ends in a huge reveal. We have the reveal that Locke was in a wheelchair, and here we have the reveal that Sawyer is not Sawyer, and the whole thing of the letter. I just think they're such well-written episodes, and the whole torture situation, this is such a good episode. I absolutely think I could be happy with this as number 2, because I think the pilot is spectacular and it's a great setup, but I think as a contained episode, this is stronger.
Kevin has so many thoughts. I can see it in his
I'm just this to me is not as, it's more of a Sun reveal sort of episode to me. I'm not as floored that Sun does know English, right? And it's more on that level for me. It's more of a mid. I'm not and I say mid as if I mean mid, we're talking mid of really, really great episodes. But it's more I don't know. I think Walkabout is obviously great. The pilot is obviously great, right? I don't think that it's as good as those. Yeah, it's good. It's cool. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't love Sawyer as much. I'm just oh yeah, I mean that's a cool reveal. That's a cool thing. But
I tell you what, Kevin, it's a good job you weren't here for the Walkabout rankings. Otherwise, your lock here, it would probably end up last.
Listen, Walkabout is a great episode. Walkabout is a great episode. I have no qualms with Walkabout being really, but and that reveal in Walkabout that he had been in a wheelchair up until they were on the island is mind blowing. So I don't that's the thing. I don't think that this reveal about Sawyer is that mind blowing. I was not as floored by this. I was just oh wow. I wasn't hold the couch next to me because what just happened? It's not earthquake. It's oh wow, there's a lot to Sawyer. There's a lot more to him than I realized. Similarly, there's a lot more to the Sun than I realized. It's kind of that level for me. So I wouldn't put it that high. I would have it more
behind pilot.
Yeah, I would have it more in that White Rabbit, Sun, House of the Rising Sun, that section of our ranking list. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
But
so we have the Walkabout, the pilot, House of the Rising Sun, White Rabbit, So where in that would you?
I guess I would put it between those two, between Rising Sun and White Rabbit.
What's like fourth for you?
Yeah, like in that
So
range.
Kristin's gonna place this.
But Kristin loves Sawyer, and Kristin cried at Charlie, so like Kristin probably has this pretty high.
So here's what's funny. I don't agree with any of you all. So I do think Walkabout still is number one. That's probably the only thing I do agree about in this entire like of us ranking. Pilot, I do think still should stay at number two. I love House of the Rising Sun so much because I think there was that big reveal. I gives us so much that we didn't know about Sun and Jin because all that we saw was literally them just hating each other basically and him being a complete horrible husband.
Mm-hmm.
But because I do love Sawyer, because of all the depth that we get with Sawyer, realizing that he's not just like this asshole that everybody knows that he is. There is some depth there. There is a heart in there because he is tortured by this. And we've seen it not even just by this, we've seen him be tortured by other moments. So it's kind of giving that insight of why there's so much depth to Sawyer. Of course, the peanut butter, love it. And Sun getting to have her like badass moment of like, I'm taking over. I think that this has to go above House of the Rising Sun. So I would put this third. So for me, it's Walkabout, Pilot, Confidence Man.
I think I would be happy to like compromise in that middle ground. So like me and Jay think above Pilot. You both have below Pilot. Kevin slightly even lower, but
yeah,
I do think above House of the Rising Sun would be like a fair placement for it.
So that's like third,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Average. Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, that's another episode down. We're third of the way through season 1 now.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I love that we say we're only a third of the way in and we're at like 8 episodes where most like season 1s are like 12.
Well, a show now we'd be done.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like it's crazy that we were like, it's nuts, but yeah.
We'd be like like halfway through a Survivor season, a US Survivor season.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
All right. Well, that's it for this, other than our spoiler review. So stay tuned for that. And otherwise, we will see you next time on the Tribe of Nerds.
Fuck you, Sarah.
All right, welcome to Tribe of Nerds. After Jake, the spoiler section of Lost, Confidence Man. So if this is your time, you haven't seen it, get out of here. Go. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Get out. We're counting you down. Let's go. All right. Are you gone? All right, good. All right, we're good. Here we go. Confidence Man. Who wants to start? Sawyer. Okay, sorry.
Oh my gosh. You love Sawyer so much. It's unhealthy. It's a good thing. It's a good thing this is 20 years old.
It's concerning. It's very unhealthy, but I love that man. God help me when I see him on Saturday. I just can't.
God help him.
God help him.
Yes, God help him.
God help him.
God help him. Also, like, I'm just saying this because it's on the spoiler section and we're not there yet, but I'm also seeing Desmond, which I can't say. I'm only saying I'm seeing Sawyer because Jake doesn't know who Desmond is, but Desmond will also be there. So yes. All right, spoiler section.
Can't wait to get a Desmond. But yeah, let's focus on Sawyer and real Sawyer, which I guess is what we're going to be mostly talking about here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think again, like we know that Confidence Man. We know who his dad is. We see him later. He does finally give that letter to him. But of course, again, because this guy is the actual asshole, he doesn't care. And then, of course, we lead our Sawyer to doing something to that Sawyer. But yes, where do you guys want to go with of obviously the real Sawyer here?
Yeah, I think knowing like the future of like our Sawyer is why like this one I didn't want to rank it higher because I'm like, but there are better Sawyer episodes coming. There's better reveals, and I'm like, I can't say it to Jake.
Yeah, I mean, His name is James Ford. We're gonna throw that out there so that we can actually we'll call him James because that will help us in this spoiler section. But also, yeah, we see there are a lot of Sawyer episodes coming. We actually get to the point where we see that moment of him as a kid, where we see his mom saying, "You hide," and she died, and dad died, like all of these things. And so again, oh, my poor Sawyer, I'll hug him extra tight. But there's a lot, and then of course, that moment with him with the man from Tallahassee. So yeah, I can't wait to see Jake get to realize that he's gonna get like all of this. Like, I know that he was kind of hinting. Also, we have to go back after we like finish with Sawyer here. Jake is on point about everything, and it's driving me crazy.
I know. Be more surprised, Jake. God damn it.
I know. All right, but let's finish up with Sawyer before we get to that.
We swear he's not pre-watching. He's just
He's
smart.
not. We swear.
So also, yeah, on Anthony Cooper, the real Mr. Sawyer, like, we're also going to see, speaking of Locke, that, there's two people on this island that he's destroyed their lives, and this connection that Locke and Sawyer unknowingly have, and that's going to all culminate in season 3 as well. And yeah, this guy, I mean, arguably the worst person on the show, like true, like pure evil, this guy, and he does not care. He does not care at all, right to the end. Like, yeah. Screw Anthony Cooper. What a piece of shit that guy is.
Right.
Terrible person.
Because we know of what he's done to Locke too, but also this is the moment where I'm sure Kevin loves, is that Locke is just, he's not so much Locke anymore. This little, like, I know everything. He, like, literally, you see what that man has done to him, that he instantly goes back into this, like, scared man working at the box factory. He's not doing his, like, island get up anymore. And so he has to have Sawyer come in and save the day, if you will. Save the day. I say save the day as it's not him, like, actually killing somebody, but it's fine.
And I mean, we almost see Sawyer burn the letter, and thank God he didn't, because he does. We talked about the closure that he doesn't have, and he does end up getting that closure, as painful as it was. So he kept keeping hold of that letter. Does actually help him in the long run. And the Sawyer that you see from the moment that he delivers that letter till the end of the season is a completely different Sawyer. There's also a kind of a time jump in that period as well that helps that along. But like, that is his growth into less of a dick, into more of a genuinely good person.
Like, just I'm gonna come back for all of you when we get to the moments where Sawyer is like the best guy, and I'm gonna be like, remember that time?
I can only talk about the Sawyer that we currently have.
Well, that's what this section is for, because as we do know, Sawyer ends up being one of the best people on that island, and I saw it from the get-go.
No, you saw a hot shirtless man from the get-go.
I did see that too. I did see that.
You did, like, no, Sawyer is written to be unlikable, and like a lot of these characters are written to be unlikable in the beginning, and end up understanding where they're coming from and then appreciating them. Like, even Sun and Jin, like what happened with House of the Rising Sun, where like you think these like you think Jin is such an asshole, and then like you watch the story and you realize why he's like the way he is. So,
and that's not even his episode, which is crazy.
Right. So like that's the way a lot of them are written. That like we're not supposed to like a lot of them. Like, we're supposed to like Jack, right? He's supposed to be the hero. Like, we're supposed to like.
But even he has like negative traits as well. Yeah.
Yes. Like,
they're all
so
flawed.
Like yeah. And like, I guess Claire, maybe we're supposed to like Claire because she's pregnant.
Yeah, she's
like, we're not supposed. She's like the nice one.
Maybe. How can you not love Claire in this moment? What has she done to you?
I mean, nothing. But like, she hasn't done like standout great things. You know what I mean? Like,
she's done more than Shannon has. She's carrying like suitcases.
Can we not make it about Shannon?
Right, but she hasn't. She's not like a hero. She's just like a good person who's there. Yeah. Right. So like, we're not supposed to like a lot of them to start. We're supposed to like find their like inner good throughout the series. That's what makes
and, that's the entire purpose of the show. And like, they ultimately grow, and that's why they're all on this island. And also, a funny little, I did a little like look to the camera. Jake also mentioned about moving on in the previous episode, in the episode we just filmed. Sorry, like, he's literally saying the lines that are going to end this series unknowingly.
Yeah, which is the perfect segue into, I am so irritated with Jake right now. I cannot. And
why does he know so much?
The thing about it, though, is, like I said, like I had brought up in that episode, I was talking to my friend last night. She's a massive Lostie as well. And I was like, I just can't figure out, because she's like, well, screw him for being able to figure all this stuff out. Like, I told her about the lock thing, about was hitting Sayid. She's like, there's no way he guessed that reveal. And I'm like, he did. It's insane.
Not only guessed it, but guessed all of it.
All of it, right.
Like,
but
the whole thing.
So
like,
we came to the conclusion that we could probably, that again, we were watching this live. We had to wait a week between episodes. Then we had to wait, all these other months before a new season came out. And so I think for us having that week break, and granted, we're not filming all of these literally 500 of them a day where he's watching there. We do have some lulls, but it's like
watching much closer together.
Yeah, like you're able to go into that very next, like, you know what I mean? Like House of the Rising Sun into the Moth, and then now we just, recently did Moth, so now he's getting the Charlie a little bit, so I think he's
also
able to kind of
most
put
people
things
aren't most people aren't watching the episode and then spending an hour discussing it on a podcast as well. So like Jake is really digging down into these characters immediately after he watches it and discussing it. So I think it gives him more of like a grasp.
And this show was very big on like people talking about it afterwards, but like there were so many crazy like speculation things, right? So like if none of us had watched it before and we're all watching it for the first time, like maybe Jake throws that out and maybe he lets go of it because one of us comes up with something else. But because the three of us have to sit here and be like, right? Like he like in his own mind just latches onto it more. That might be a part of it too, that like when you're in that online fandom as it's happening, there's a million suggestions of who it could be. It could be the French woman. It could be someone else. It could be the polar bear. It could be Locke. It could be Sayid. It could right. And you're like, it can't be Sayid. Couldn't have done himself. Like, what if he faked it? Like, it could be like, there's so many like people will throw out anything. And when you're in that much noise, it's very like, well, gee, I don't know. But like when you're the only voice and you like are able to pick up on something, it's easy to like stick on that thing.
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, millions of people would have guessed that it was Locke, but at the time when it went out, we didn't have the answers to be like, oh, you're right. So
like a million people could have said Locke, but like 18 million people watched it. So what did the other 17 million say? So
well, and that's the thing is like I even brought up yesterday when I watched it live, I did think it was Locke because he's the only one that we are not guaranteed to know where he is in this moment. Like everybody else is pretty much accounted for. So I too did think Locke like Jake, but I was not confident in that at all. I did not say it's because he doesn't want them to leave the island. That was nothing. That was literally nothing in my head about that. So that when it is revealed, I was still like, oh my gosh, it was Locke. I feel like when it's revealed, Jake's gonna be like, oh yeah, I was right. Okay. Like it's gonna
cool.
He's so even he said it in this episode, he's like, I'm more convinced that Locke is the one that did this. Like and I'm like, damn.
Because he saw the exact thing that Locke did of like manipulating them.
Right. I was like, here, Locke had me going down the rabbit hole. Like, did he really do the cigarette butt? Like, oh my gosh, Sawyer, why would you be so evil? Like, I was right there, but no, he's locked in on Locke. So crazy. Anything else spoiler wise from Confidence Man that we want? I didn't hear.
You gotta stop crying about Charlie because you're gonna give away that Charlie's gonna die.
That's not even why. It's adorable though.
You're gonna give it away.
That's not giving it away. That was an adorable moment. That had nothing to do. I don't cry because he died. I cry because of the peanut butter and it's adorable. Listen,
you fill that empty jar with your tears.
I'm sorry. Michael's cried about other stuff too. Okay, like
there's plenty of traumatic things that happen.
It's an emotional show.
It's fine. He might not guess it.
Cried in House of the Rising Sun. Okay, it's an emotional show.
Right, fine.
No, I mean, Confidence Man, a very good, solid episode. I think we get a lot of Sawyer stuff, which we know is all going to get like revealed later. The Sun and Michael thing, obviously, like that's coming up. That we're going to get more of the Michael and Jin like with the raft situation. That's going to be coming up and all of that. That they finally are like they're starting to like go their separate ways here. Also Shannon and Boone, like we know what's about to happen there. God, count me out for that. You talk about crying, all right?
Listen,
that's where it's gonna be. I can't.
That episode's going low on the list. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean it's not great.
But also, I mean, not even just that episode. The episode I'm really excited for, which is coming up, actually, probably sooner, is the when Locke again ruins people's lives and makes Boone go through the whole moment of Shannon. So again, can't wait for Jake to see that episode. That's a phenomenal episode.
It's not the same episode.
No, the one where he's talking about Boone, where he makes Boone think that Shannon died. I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
but isn't that the Boone and Shannon episode?
No, there's two, because then Boone dies. That's the Claire one where she has a baby. Are we talking about?
Yeah, but I mean the flashback Boone Shannon
yes.
episode is
Yes.
that one.
Yes, sorry, yes. I didn't know what you were asking me. But
The important thing is that Shannon sucks.
and that she like dies a couple times, so it's great. But yeah, anyway, so that is it for this section of the spoiler. Tune in, like, subscribe, comment, talk to us, ask us questions. Don't ask spoiler questions because Jake has not seen it and he will see the comments. But ask us questions. We will answer them on our podcast, and we love that you guys are hanging out with us. So see you guys in the next one. Bye.